Welcome back to Vital Signs, where we talk about all things health, wellness, and peak human performance. We are here in studio with Dr. Sarah Breen. She is a pediatrician, and she is giving us all the details on how to make sure that our kids are healthy, that we're instilling a healthy lifestyle so that they're able to be set for success, both academically, if they want to participate in sports, and for life in general. It's building those foundational habits that's so important. As a reminder, everything on this show is not medical advice. Please check with your practitioner before integrating anything new. But without further ado, we're going to dive into a really hot topic: screen time. Screen time has been an epic challenge for parents because at an early age, we want to kind of encourage the kids. We want to keep them involved in other things. We want to do our own stuff and have them entertained. So, Sarah, I get this question a lot. How do we, if we've overdone it on screen time, how do we pull back with our children?
So the last few years have been challenging. They were challenging before COVID, and then there was a pandemic where people had to work and kids needed to do something. So I was just looking, and the newest data on the CDC website says that kids from age 8 to 18 are actually getting about 7.5 hours on average a day.
Wow.
Yes, of recreational only screen time. So that doesn't include what they're doing for school. So yeah, I think it's a really big problem. And I think what really needs to happen is it just needs to start going away. People need to address it as opposed to being kind of afraid to take things from their children. So the goal is 2 hours or less of recreational screen time every single day. Weekends, summer, it doesn't matter. 2 hours or less. So, people need to start having rules around it. Kids need to start getting physically involved instead, whether it's outside, whether it's doing things in your house. People need to do other things, playing games, using their brain. Screen time is so bad for us.
Yeah, and as we talk about it, one of the other things that has happened concurrently post-pandemic is a mental health crisis in our kids. We have seen here in Texas, we've seen suicides in middle school. Like, that never used to be a concern, and now we're seeing it more and more and more. Does screen time have an impact on this, or what are you seeing, and what could we as parents and grandparents, if you're like me, do to help encourage our children and notice what's going on so that we can help them better?
Sure. So screen time is definitely noted to have an increase, obviously, in obesity, anxiety, depression, sleep problems, and obesity can lead to depression and anxiety as well. I believe that 50% increase in mental health issues since the pandemic is what we're seeing right now. So it's, screen time itself, but then you add in social media and little developing brains, and it's just a really bad combination. You definitely have people who are obsessed with the likes and, on Facebook, or I don't know all the new ones, but I'm old. But, you have people that are obsessed with the likes, you have the rabbit holes that people go down, and then you have the poor teenagers who see the parties they're missing out on. It's just so different having all that social media. So obviously the less ability to be around it, the better. Of course, the goal is limited screen time, not having a phone unless absolutely necessary. But people just have to start putting rules around the screen time because it's terrible.
And one of the things that I've heard, and actually I just did a talk for a very large group of entrepreneurial women, and one of the things that they came up to me and talked about after the presentation was, I don't know how to reduce the phone time on my children. It's his phone. So when you get those questions, how do you address that?
So unless he's paying for it, it's not his phone. It's the same conversation I have around wearing bike helmets, which is also important. If they don't want to wear the bike helmet, then they don't go on the bike. If they don't want to follow your rules, there are a lot of phone contracts that are out there that when you first purchase your child's phone, you can have them sign a contract. Easy peasy, you can do that now. You don't have to let them have it just because they always have, right? I used to have, when my older one was younger, I would have what's called Take Back the House Week. When I realized that he was in charge, he was about 2 at the time, and you know how they just tell you where to sit and what to do. That's when you know that you have to have Take Back the House Week. And so I think it's kind of like that. All of a sudden you just realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm in charge. I'm paying for the phone, I'm paying for the plan, this is my house, and it's important. So you have to start taking charge and saying, listen, these are the rules that now go along here, and if you want the phone, that's what you follow, and if you don't, you don't.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And it's hard. It's hard because we don't like our children to we want to be their, we've gotten to this era where we want to be their friend. I'm old school. I was not my child's friend. I am happy to admit that. It didn't win me brownie points. But what it did was it established some game rules. And my daughter's in her late 20s. And it's really interesting because at dinner, she's like, put the phones away. There's no phones at dinner. Because that was something that we instilled at a very early age. And so it's easy for us to take back the house by starting at the dinner table maybe and just saying there's a no phone rule, or just starting small. Like I'm a coach by trade, and so it's one small step at a time, yes. And that way they get used to it, and then the next rule isn't quite as hard. As we implement some of these things. So I want to shift back to the mental health conversation because I think it goes in with this too much screen time, not enough physical activity, not eating properly. So we have this blood sugar roller coaster and all the things. But how do we as parents and grandparents see warning signs that maybe mental health issues might be a challenge for our kids?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it's really important because what I find is starting early with mental health is really important. You don't want to be an emergency. So if you're feeling anything in your gut, first of all, always trust your mom or grandma gut or dad because you're usually right. So if your child is spending more time alone and not interested in doing activities that they normally are, there's a lot of little kids I find with anxiety now of parents leaving the house. It's really important to talk to your healthcare provider or your social worker at school. It's so important to get that mental health help as early as possible. It's not a weakness. It's really important. And it doesn't mean they're in it forever. Sometimes people have bad weeks, bad months, bad years, and then learning to cope with that is so important. The therapy piece is huge.
And so if we notice a change in behavior, or we notice an introverted or a drawing back, how do we present that to our provider? Because so many times it's something that we keep in. There's been such a stigma around it for so many years. And so how do we broach that topic with our healthcare professionals?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to keep talking about it because that will take away the stigma. I believe that it's going in the right direction. There's so much mental health work out there now. It shouldn't be a stigma. Your healthcare provider is there to help you, and mental health is a huge component, of physical health and well-being. It's so important that it's maybe the most important thing you bring up that day, and you just have to because it's your child's life you're talking about.
And as we move forward, is this a visit to the doctor? Is this a telehealth visit? Is this a phone call? How do we initiate that?
I think whatever's easier for you. They may have you come in, it's an important subject, but at least try to, have a phone call, throw it out there, whatever makes you the most comfortable so that you're not stressed about bringing it up. It's more important for us to hear it, and we want to hear it. That's what we're there for. We're there to help you.
Thank you so much. And so, Sarah, before we conclude, is there any last thing that you want to touch on before we break for commercial?
I think it's just really important to be honest with yourself and to go with your gut. Especially as a parent or grandparent, you're usually right, and to go ahead and start there is number one.
Thank you so much. And so for our viewers and our listeners who are listening to this and they may want to reach out to you to get more information or if they have a question, how can they reach out to you?
Sure. Well, currently the best website to reach out to me is www.brepicnetwork.org, and you can just go to the part where it says Contact Sarah, or you can find me on LinkedIn at any time, Sarah Breen.
And that's brepicnetwork.org. I just want to make sure anybody who's listening gets that. It's Brepic, brepicnetwork.org. Sarah, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate everything and all the gems that you've dropped. We look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thanks, Jen.
We'll be right back after these messages.